Hello everyone, it's Marybeth, and today I'm going to walk you through getting started on a project, specifically the moment where you need to send a design agreement and you want to spell out what your design fee is for the design work, and you want to send that over to your client and collect payment. So we're going to walk through how you do this in Materio now. Now, if you've been in Materio for a while, if you're just getting started, you may feel like you need to build out a scope of work before you send anything over. I'm here to tell you that I actually like to advise just sending a design fee and a contract with a clear scope of work in that contract before you start building out anything in Materio. We want to make sure that you're getting paid for the work you're doing to actually design the space. So you're going to land on your project here, and right here under add category, we're just going to hit design services. And then under design services, we want to add our first item, which is our design fee. Now this is not a selection, so I'm going to undo that button there, unclick that button, and then I'm going to hit save. And here's where I'm going to go ahead and start putting in what this design fee is. Now, if you're hourly, we'll do a separate video on how you can set up hours, but for now, we're just going to pretend that we have a flat fee. So I'm going to go ahead and enter in my flat fee. And of course, I'm going to take away my default markup and tax here because I don't want to include that on there. I have our design fee in the project, and I'm not going to start with anything else. Now, of course, if you have resources, visuals that the client has sent you, you can go ahead and add those here just so you have them. But at this point, they're not invited to the project. We're simply sending them a design agreement for this design fee, and then we're going to send them an invoice. So I'm going to go up to the top and hit share, which I know can feel a little bit scary, but this is actually where you just generally get things out of Materio, whether you're inviting someone in or you're sharing certain information like a contract. So we're going to go ahead and hit send contract. And then because your client is not invited to the project yet, you will need to search them in your client contact database. So I'm going to go ahead and search for them. And once you search for them, then your contract will appear over here on the right. Now, you can see that the only thing I have in my contract is this design fee for $10,000. And I'm going to go ahead and rename this design agreement for this project. And then I'm going to go ahead and edit my standard terms here. Now, this is where you're going to want to put in information about the address. You're going to want to put in your address, the scope of work. And in this case, you're actually going to spell out scope of work here. For example, we're going to do space planning. We're going to do floor plan drawings. We're going to do as-built, whatever it might be. You can keep it kind of loose. And you can also even say things like, we're going to be doing the kitchen, dining room, living room. We're going to be planning out furnishing for all of those. So spell out your scope of work here. Of course, use your standard design agreement and plug it in right here. Now, once you put your standard design agreement in here, it will save and will be reusable on future projects. You'll just have to customize some of the project-specific details. So now that I have this in here, I've got my design fee and I've got my design agreement, my standard terms. I'm going to customize my message. I'm going to note that I'm going to also send a follow-up invoice and that they'll be paid for it. As Materio stands right now, these are two separate functions. We send our design agreement and then we send our invoice. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send. And when I do that, I'm going to be asked to sign it. Then they'll get an email and they'll be asked to sign it as well. All right, so now that I've sent that contract over, I'm also going to go and send a retainer. So I'm going to go over to my finances and then invoicing, which is the first tab, which is where you should land. And I'm going to hit new retainer. Now, the reason I'm collecting a retainer is because I want to send a request for a bucket of money for my services, but I want to leave some wiggle room as I start to go through my different design phases. I want to make sure that I'm applying that retainer generally to the different phases. So I'm going to go ahead and add an item here. I'm in a retainer item. I'm going to call this my design fee retainer. And I'm just going to enter in amount. And again, because your client is not on the project yet, you're going to have to search for them in your client contact database. Just like any billing document Materio, use Materio Pay for this. So we're going to hit send, and you can leave those reminders on if you'd like. Now you notice that it's sending over, it's syncing to QuickBooks. I'm going to go ahead and just say that we received payment for this. Let's just say they wrote us a check. And now that is paid. So now I have $10,000 of retainer available. So now that my client has paid that, I'm ready to get started and kick off the project. Now is the time where I'll come in and I'll start to add in things like the kits and the items and everything that's going to go into the project. I hope this is helpful to understand how you can send a design agreement and a design fee before getting started and fully building out your project in Materio. If you have any questions, you could always live chat us or reach out to us at hello@materio.co.